Imagine sailing through the ocean at midnight. No moon, no land, just endless darkness. Then suddenly, a light appears in the distance. That light could mean the difference between life and death. For hundreds of years, America's lighthouses guided ships through deadly storms and dangerous waters. But behind those lights are stories of tragedy, mystery, and disappearance. And some of those stories have never been fully explained. Tonight, we enter America's most mysterious lighthouses. Before GPS, radar, and modern navigation, sailors had to depend on something much simpler: the light from a lighthouse. Along America's coastline, thousands of ships traveled through dangerous waters. But the ocean could be unpredictable. Strong winds could push ships off course. Fog could hide the coastline. And beneath the waves, sharp rocks waited for ships that came too close. A lighthouse gave sailors a warning. Its powerful beam could reach far across the ocean, helping sailors recognize the coastline and find their way to safety. Some lighthouses stood on towering cliffs. Others were built on small islands, surrounded by nothing but water. And some stood directly in the path of violent storms. When darkness covered the ocean, the lighthouse became a sailor's guide. But keeping that light burning was a difficult job. Someone had to stay inside the tower, night after night, watching the weather and maintaining the light. These men were called lighthouse keepers. They lived far away from cities, families, and ordinary life. And when a powerful storm arrived, they couldn't simply leave. They had one responsibility: keep the light burning, because somewhere out in the darkness, a ship might be depending on it. Before electricity made lighthouses automatic, every light depended on one person: the lighthouse keeper. He lived alone for weeks, sometimes months, surrounded by nothing but the sea. Every evening, he climbed hundreds of stairs to light the powerful lantern. Through freezing winters, thick fog, and violent storms, the light could never go out. The job demanded perfect discipline. Cleaning the giant glass lens, polishing the lantern, recording the weather, and watching the ocean became part of everyday life. Many keepers said the hardest part wasn't the danger. It was the silence. With no neighbors and no city lights, the sound of crashing waves became their constant companion. And sometimes, that lonely silence hid something far more terrifying. Some American lighthouses were built in places where the ocean could turn deadly in minutes. One of the most famous is the Cape Hatteras Lighthouse in North Carolina. The waters around Cape Hatteras became known as the graveyard of the Atlantic. For centuries, powerful currents, shifting sandbars, thick fog, and violent storms made this coastline extremely dangerous for ships. Hundreds of vessels were lost in these waters. The lighthouse was built to warn sailors before they got too close to the shore. But even with its powerful light, the ocean remained unpredictable. During major storms, waves could rise high around the lighthouse, while ships fought desperately to stay on course. For the lighthouse keepers, these storms were terrifying. They couldn't escape the coastline. They could only watch the waves, protect the tower, and keep the light burning. And sometimes, when the storm finally passed, the sea left behind something terrible: the wreckage of a ship that never made it home. But among America's lighthouse stories, some are even more mysterious. Stories where the light was still shining, but the people who were supposed to maintain it had suddenly disappeared. Some of the darkest lighthouse stories begin with a simple question: where did the keepers go? Over the years, there have been strange cases involving lighthouse keepers who vanished without explanation. One of the most famous mysteries happened at the Flannan Isles Lighthouse in Scotland, not America. 3 lighthouse keepers disappeared, leaving behind an empty lighthouse and unanswered questions. Their story became famous around the world, and it shows why lighthouses have always fascinated people. Far from cities and surrounded by endless ocean, a lighthouse can feel like a world of its own. When something goes wrong, there may be no witnesses, no one to hear a cry for help, and no one to explain what happened. That isolation has created countless legends about haunted towers, mysterious lights, and keepers who never returned. But behind the legends is a very real truth. Lighthouse keeping was dangerous. Storms could arrive without warning. Ships could crash nearby, and a single mistake could become fatal. Today, many of these old towers still stand along America's coastline. Their lights may be automated now, but their stories remain. And perhaps that's why, even after hundreds of years, people are still drawn to the lonely towers standing against the darkness. But today, the world of the lighthouse keeper has almost disappeared. Modern technology changed everything. GPS, radar, satellites, and automated navigation systems can now guide ships with incredible accuracy. Many lighthouses no longer need a person living inside them. Their lights can operate automatically, sometimes for months without human attention. But that doesn't mean these towers have become useless. Across America, historic lighthouses are still standing. Some have been restored as museums. Others remain active navigation aids. And many have become symbols of the communities that grew around them. Because a lighthouse is more than a tower. It represents hope. For generations of sailors, that light meant there was land nearby. It meant someone was watching. And after centuries of storms, shipwrecks, and lonely nights, America's lighthouses still stand against the ocean, reminding us of a time when one small light could guide someone safely home. Today, we have satellites to guide us, but the old lighthouses still shine, and maybe that's why we still look toward them, because in the darkest moments, sometimes all it takes is a single light to show us the way home. If you enjoy stories about history, mystery, and the places that shaped America, subscribe to Historix Nexus.